Why does that make sense in anybody's brain for a person who's straight out of high school, probably has no job, being responsible for as much as $40,000 to $50,000 of debt? Y'all, let's talk about college, which was 5 years ago. Actually, yo, oh my gosh. College was actually 10 years ago. Yo, oh my goodness. All right. Started college in 2015, right when I finished high school. Wow. I hadn't realized that it was so long ago. I graduated 5 years ago, so I was thinking college was 5 years ago. It was not. College was in 2015, fall of 2015. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Okay, let me reel it back in. I really did not think about that. Oh my gosh. But let's talk about my college experience, and is college worth it? Was college a scam? All the things, okay? I'm gonna give you my thoughts based on my personal experience. So for those of you who don't know, I started college in a different school than the one that I actually graduated from. I started in the fall of 2015 at Howard University, and the first year and a half-ish, I stayed on campus, which was interesting to say the least, right? One of the things that I remember the most about being in college is the simple fact that it was not as enjoyable as I thought it would be. And I think it came with the simple fact that I was an introvert. Being me and being an adult at the time, which I guess you can say that I was not really an adult based on the age or whatever, but I was on my own basically. So being in the DC area for the first time on my own and everything, I did not explore as much as I feel like I should have. And that was thanks to me being an introvert. A lot of times I feel like I stayed in the dorm room and I was not exploring relationships with the other girls around me. I just went to class, came back, went out to eat, came back. I went to a few parties, came back, things like that, right? I pretty much made friends with the people that were in my class or people that were in my dorm, as opposed to going out and exploring and finding people who had the same interests as me and making long-time friends as you would in college or whatever. And that is one of the things that I really regret, I guess you could say, about college, is the simple fact that I didn't experience it as much as I should have. That was partly because of my financial restraints. I was paying for college out of pocket, not the smartest idea, especially going to Howard University at the time and living on campus like a girl, what? But I really wanted to go to Howard University, so I made it possible for me to go to Howard University in some way, shape, or form. And like I said, I was staying on campus and I studied criminal justice, criminology, which was super interesting and still is to this day to me, honestly. I'm one of those people that absolutely was obsessed with criminal minds. And originally, I had thought about going to college and studying psychology because that was the interest that I had in my 12th grade year in high school, because I took an AP psych class. And when I tell you, I absolutely fell in love with psychology and the idea of how the mind works and the different things that you can do to explore people's behaviors and things like that. So I was so locked into studying psychology. But that quickly changed when I learned that if you go to college and you study psychology, you can barely get a job. So I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go and get a master's degree or not. So let me just go ahead and study criminal justice, criminology, which is something that was also of interest to me over the years. So I went ahead and focused on that, which was absolutely amazing. I'm telling you, I absolutely love my major. But one thing that always made me feel weird about college in general is the simple fact that when you're selecting your major, you still have to study other classes and everything, which is very stupid to me. I never understood the reason as to why I need to take an elective that has nothing to do with my major to somehow satisfy the fact that I'm learning about this specific topic. It absolutely never made sense to me, and to this day I still don't understand the reason as to why that's a thing. Why do I need to take math when I'm studying criminology? Make it make sense to me. But regardless, I studied criminal justice and my original goal was to go into law enforcement. I'm not gonna say the job that I was aiming for, but the people that know me personally know that I was really locked in on this specific goal for the longest. And the reason why I'm not saying it is because if this YouTube stuff don't work out, honey, I need to have a fallback option. So I'm keeping that a little bit close to my heart. But regardless, I wanted to work in law enforcement, and that was the goal, right? Out of college, I was going to get an internship, and that was going to help me get to my point of becoming that specific law enforcement. So the end goal was, of course, to study what I was studying to lead to a full-blown career. And I gotta say, the pressure of being in college and studying something when you really barely know anything about yourself in general is very much high. I think looking back and knowing what I know now, if I were able to, I would have taken a year off so that I can really explore who I am personally before going straight into college. And I say this because as people growing up, we are influenced by everybody around us, right? Our parents tell us what to do. Our siblings shape how we act around other people. And just overall, a lot of the experiences that you have are connected to other people. So going into college, which is supposed to be your own personal experience, especially if you're not staying at home and stuff, then you're gonna, how do I say this? You're basically going to have to find yourself, right? They say that college is essentially where you actually have to experience, explore, and learn about yourself. But I feel like having to pick out a major and a minor off jump puts a lot of pressure on people to define who they are and who they want to be further down the line. And it's crazy to me because a lot of people, whatever they studied, they really don't even follow that path down the line. And I feel like that could be avoided if most people took a gap year and explored their own personalities and their own ideals before going straight into college. And I think that would also help people reduce their debt. I say this because a lot of us go straight into college not really knowing exactly what we want to do, but we just settle on one specific idea because it aligned with something that somebody else told us, or it aligned with something that interested us at some point in time. But in reality, as you grow and learn more about yourself or even the topic, you may not even be interested in that anymore. And so now you have to change your major and go through all of that process, which is costly. And to add on to that, we also have books, food, small, tiny little room, and several other supplies that we have to pay for that honestly cost way too much. Let's be serious. Why do I need to pay for this book that costs $200? Why does this book cost $200? Why is it that me staying on campus and this tiny little room with barely any privacy costing $40,000 in 1 year? Excuse me? Why does that make sense in anybody's brain for a person who straight out of high school probably has no job, is just becoming an adult in the law's eyes, being responsible for as much as $40,000 to $50,000 of debt? And mind you, this debt is for just 1 year in most cases. Can you imagine what that's like for people who go and actually finish college and spend those 4 years and study something that requires them to go to get their master's? That's absolutely insane. And like I said, a lot of people, when they finish studying what they're studying, they most likely don't go into that field. All of these are the reasons why people may think that college is a scam and it may not be for them or whatever, which honestly makes sense when you really think about it, because why are we racking up all of this debt just for us to not end up where we actually planned on ending up at? And not only that, the thing that also gets to me is the simple fact that learning all of this information doesn't really do much when you don't really apply it within the moment that you learn it. You know this from experience, honestly, throughout the years of starting a new job per se, where they just put you in front of a computer for that 3-month period and you're supposed to learn everything that you're supposed to do in that job within that 3-month period, and then you're supposedly an expert, right? But you're doing this for 4 years out of college and you're ingesting all types of information from all different topics, and somehow you're supposed to be an expert at some point just because you ingested all of this information that you didn't apply. This may not be the same for all of the majors out there, but that's the case for a lot of the stuff that we just study, right? Because we just learn, write a paper to show that we learn, or take a test to show that we learn, and then we move on from the topic on to the next, and so on. And this is the same for each and every single class, each and every single topic. And it gets very redundant when you really think about it, because you're just basically repeating what you were doing in high school just for more money. Not to say that I didn't learn anything from college or anything like that. I definitely feel like I developed a lot of skills and learned a lot about myself along the journey because it exposed me to a lot. And I was able to learn a lot about building a routine and having a structure that helps me achieve my goals. And I think that's one of the major benefits of actually going to college because it takes a lot of discipline for you to show up to a class each and every single day when you have the choice of actually going. You're also facing a lot of challenges with learning about yourself and what you do and don't like, about specific professor and their teaching styles, maybe different students and their perspectives, along with ways that you communicate your feelings and your thoughts to just about everybody, right? Not only that, throughout college, you're also supposed to do a lot of networking, which honestly, I didn't do much of because I was so focused on the academic parts of college where you go to class, you study, you pay attention, and then you write the paper and all of those things. So I was not really one of those people to network, which is another thing that I feel like I missed out on. But regardless, I was able to learn a lot about myself and grow a lot within my 5-year journey. Now, you may remember at the beginning of this, I said I started at Howard University, but then I had to transfer to another school because I couldn't afford going to Howard anymore. Like I said, I was paying for school out of pocket. So after a year and a half, I had to transfer to University of Maryland, where I finished my studies of criminal justice and criminology. So because of that, I had an extra semester because some of my credits didn't transfer, and I also had to take a semester off because I couldn't afford college at that point. Again, very crazy to think about that you're trying to get higher education, but you can't really afford to because it's so costly. What is up, America? But that's another important point right there with having to transfer from one school to another and having that extra semester because your credits didn't transfer. It makes no sense that I learned all of this information from one school and somehow it's not applicable in this other school because somehow this information is not transferable. I don't get that. The concept of I already learned this and now I have to relearn it because I'm at a different school makes no sense to me. If I learned the topic and I passed with an A, there's no reason why I need to take it again. And I remember feeling frustrated with that so much when I was transferring and having to deal with all of that headache because there were so many credits that just didn't transfer over and I had no choice but to just accept that. Again, very ridiculous. That whole process just felt very messy and very uncoordinated and just annoying overall. But I do have to say that transferring from Howard to UMD was the best decision that I made because that reduced a lot of the stress of money on me. Not only that, but I also felt like the education I was getting from UMD was just a little bit better than Howard. I don't know how to explain it and I don't know what the real issue is behind that, but it just felt very different. And if you experience both of the schools, then you would know what I'm trying to say. But that may also have to do with the simple fact that when I was at Howard, I was just starting, I was taking basic classes as opposed to when I transferred where I had more knowledge and I was able to really start within my major. So I was really focused on criminology and learning more information specifically about that, which really held my interest more than the basic math, science classes. Now, with all of that said, I feel like a lot of people go to college and expect it to really prepare them for the world. And let me tell you that it does not whatsoever. It does not prepare you for any of that. It just like high school, it just gives you knowledge and information about you, about what you're studying, about the people around you. But I feel like college does not prepare you for real world at all, because if so, I would have known how to do my taxes. I would have had a job right out of college. I wouldn't have a bunch of debt coming out of college. All the things, because at the end of the day, let's be for real. Why did I spend so much money getting this education and now I have no job? Like, what? That makes no sense. But like I said, I did gain a lot of skills and knowledge that I feel like really helped me learn about myself, the people around me, and a few things that also helped me prep for the real world. Like some classes that I took really helped me learn about how to build up my resume, how to apply for certain jobs. And at some point, I even had an internship that was only open because I took a specific class, but I was not able to get that because I was so stressed about school in college and paying for school and all that, that at some point I developed seizures, right? If you watch my other video, then you know. If not, let me tell you right now that I started having seizures in 2016 after starting college, and after doing several different types of studies and all the tests and everything, they found nothing physically wrong. So the idea was that I was having those seizures because of stress and sleep deprivation. Two things that are skyrocketing when you're in college, right? So I remember feeling a lot like, why am I even doing this? What is the purpose of doing this? But regardless of all of that, I still pushed through because I'm not a quitter. My mama ain't raised no quitter. So I couldn't give up on my dreams and my hopes because the only way that I knew to accomplish those dreams and goals was through school. That's what I was raised with. That's what a lot of us were raised with, honestly. We were taught you go to school, you get the education, and then you have the job. But as you grow up and you graduate or whatever, you learn that's not the case, bro. This is crazy. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on and on about this for hours, for days. But overall, I feel like if you want the experience of going to college, then you should 100% do it. You should 1000% try your best. But I want you to know that you should enjoy those years as well. You should try to make some friends. Get out the dorm room. Something that I wish that I did. Go to those parties. Experience life. Explore yourself. Explore whatever is around you, right? Because that's how you build your own personality. That's how you build knowledge on yourself and things that you do and don't like and things of the sort. Because right now in my own personal life, I feel like I'm learning a lot because I'm taking the time to explore things that I'm curious about, which is something that you're supposed to do when you're in college. But a lot of us don't really have that luxury because we're focused on either the academic aspect or the simple fact that it's costly or things like that, right? But the reality is those are the years that you're supposed to explore. So do that. If you're in college, explore as much as possible because those are going to be the most freedom that you're going to have before you go into your real adult life where you're going to have nonstop bills coming at you every month. Now, emotionally, I feel like college really did satisfy me, meaning that I felt very accomplished at the end of the day when I did finish it, but I graduated in 2020 when COVID was peak. So I did not have a ceremony. I did not walk the stage or anything like that. And I remember crying about that. I was very emotional about the whole thing because I spent 5 years of my life doing this. And because of a disease, I was not able to get my, I guess, crown or it just, I don't know. I don't remember exactly the feeling that I had at the moment, but I do remember feeling defeated and like I truly didn't really accomplish anything because I didn't walk the stage. But I am happy that I did go through that process because once again, it tested me a lot. I don't think anything else in life would have tested me as much as college did. And because of that, and because I went through it, and because I graduated and finished, I feel like I am a better person. I feel like at this point, I can accomplish anything if I went through the stuff that I went through in college and survived. I'm talking 3 car accidents, thousands of dollars in debt, a missed internship opportunity that I truly wanted with all of my heart, but was not able to get because of health issues, hours and hours and hours spent on the bus trying to get to college. But regardless, I honestly wouldn't have it no other way because all of that led to who I am today. And yeah, I feel like I can accomplish anything. And that's simply because I had that belief in my head from when I went to college and completed that, even though it was just a piece of paper, even though I'm not within the field that I studied, even though I had my challenges, even though I feel like it was way too much money for the little amount of reward board, I still would 1,000% do it again. And yes, I would do it differently, but I can't change the past. So what I can say is if you're going to college, try your best to experience each and every single bits and pieces. And don't be afraid to take a year off if you feel like you need it, because that can save you a lot of headache, a lot of money, and it can be very rewarding for your health. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're somebody who's thinking about going to college or maybe continuing on your college journey and are having some issues, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned for more videos to come. Until next time, bye.